Welcome back, my friends. All right, I just put new OEM rings on my piston. Put a new wrist clip pin. Wrist pin clip in on the side that I removed. New gaskets in there, new head gasket, and I just cranked the head back down. Everything feels pretty smooth considering, and I think it went well. I lined the rings up with the pins like I'm supposed to. Again, this is a 1978 Honda Express nc50, and I'm just, well, if I didn't line the pins up on the rings wouldn't have gone on, period. I would have resisted the whole way. So had to be very careful pushing that in, very, very careful. I made sure everything was oiled up really well, like the wrist pin and the cylinder and the rings. When I put them on, it was very dainty and very careful. Everything lined up really well. So now I think I'm going to clean the kick off, turn this over, pop it on so it's propped up right, because now it's top heavy, and that'll make a difference keeping it all together, I think. Yeah, it will, because when I had it like this before, it sat pretty well when it was up on the kick. So, and I'm going to clean this off a little bit, just put some brake cleaner or some carb cleaner on a rag and wipe this reed valve area down. And I think I'm going to put the reed valve and the intake manifold back on to keep any particles and dust from getting in here. That's weird, just like a nick on the shaft. That's okay. And then I might put the oil pump back on to keep gunk from getting down in here. So this is all cleaned out pretty well. I just got to get the grease gun out and grease up that oil pump shaft. And if I'm dainty putting it back together here, I'll feel a little better about it. Yeah. And then before I put this back on the bike, because I'm probably going to put this back on the bike before I do the tranny. The tranny will probably be the last thing I'll do. I'll probably put the bike on its side to mess around with the tranny so that I have a nice place to sit on a bucket and be very careful when I put the cover back on. So I still have to put the clutch, the drive pulley, the driven pulley, and the final drive back together, but I'm waiting for my oil seal for here. Well, it's on the inside to do that. Got new brakes. Those came. What else did I get that was new? I got a bunch of stuff. I got all the tranny bolt covers. They came. I got new brakes. Oh, I needed 2 cotter pins for the wheels because I busted the ones when they came out, but that's good to have those. Oh, I got the front wheel oil seal, which is good. So, and before I put this motor back on, I have to thread the rear brake cable through the frame, because when I was trying to take this guy out, the end was so rusted that it just broke right off. And so I can't get the cam or the end bolt on. So luckily, I have an entire box of spare parts that's down here, and at the bottom of it is a brake cable for the rear. I even got the spare kickstand here. I might see if this kickstand's cleaner. I might put this one on, then skip my old one. Matter of fact, it does look cleaner. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah. So far, so good. As I've been going, I've been comparing the parts that came off the bike with the parts that were off this bike. I believe this was a 77, but they're compatible. So I've just been going through and trying to make sure everything is correct. So I do want to open up. I think I am going to open up this back end here. Yeah, I think I'm going to pull this bolt, pull the cam, clean the cam. That being the case, I should be able to get to inside of here, clean that out. Maybe not. Nope, that's all one unit. Huh. All right, so I guess I'm just going to grease this before I put it back on. So that's what I'll do. And it'll work out. But yeah, I think I am going to pop that kick on. I'm going to mess around with the reed valve. I still got to clean that. Shoot out the intake. And this has been cleaned out really well. I got to clean this groove out. Anyway, reed valve, intake. I got to clean this groove out around the oil filter a little bit. Just wipe it. Put some brake cleaner on a rag and just wipe it down. So I have a new seal for the oil pump. And I have a new crush washer for up under the exhaust here, which is under here. And so I'll make sure that those go on when I reinstall. Oh, I got my carburetor gaskets. Those are what I needed. I got a whole set of like 7 of them from that range for a bunch of different nc50 and na50 bikes. And I only need like 1, 2, 3, 4 of them out of 7. But that's okay. The extra ones can just go in the box down here in case I get another bike that's a different year. And I need them. So yeah, so far so good. This went really well. This is pretty smooth considering, it's crankshaft. Oiled everything up in here. I would, normally something says oil. I would use like lithium grease or conventional motor oil. But considering this is the inside of a 2-cycle, the oil I've been using, and I've only been using a little of it, is Yamaha Lube 2-stroke. Because I figured if this is what lubes the motor, because it goes through the oil feed system, that's what I should use to lube it up. So, yep, that's the oil I've been using. I don't think it's going to hurt it. Not trying to put too much carbon in there, so I've been really light on the oil. But that's it. Head's back on. The rings are back in. New rings. Pistons shiny again. Cylinder head is shiny again. I was a little unsure about the orientation on the head gasket because it kind of had a cupped inside because it's round, and one part was partially like cupped upwards. I wasn't exactly sure, but it didn't seem to make much of a difference, so I actually put the cup upwards towards here and compressed it down, which I'm sure pushed it flat. This is the old one that came out, and I couldn't tell which side was up originally or if it even had that kind of bevel on it. So I just said, fuck it, I'll make a guess and that'll be that. So, yep. So far so good. This is where I'm at. We're putting her back together. Once this oil seal comes, which is the last thing I fucking need, I can put her all back together and she's ready to go. And we'll see how she performs. I got the oil for inside the crankshaft, training case. Obviously have to bleed the oil out of here. Really want to clean the tank out, but I don't know if I'm going to buy the shit yet, because when I looked inside this here, because I put the oil that came out of the tank back into that bottle because it has a filter on the inside. The filter was clean. But if I look inside that bottle of Yamaha Lube, there's some droplets floating on top, and I think that's gasoline floating on the oil. So I think gas is getting in the oil side, which means oil might be getting in the gas side. I'm not sure. Really not sure. So I'm definitely going to seal the gas tank. For now, I'm going to keep running it the way it is because I don't think a little bit of oil in the gas or gas in the oil is going to hurt it. But if it's still smoking when or bogging when I start it back up next time, then I'm going to consider that being the next problem. Then I'll solve that before I run it. But I just want to get it going and get it started. Make sure I put this back together. properly. This is bothering me. Right now it's pulled in and I don't want to touch it because it's spring loaded. But behind here, there's a spring. You can see the end of the spring right there on that part of the pawl. And that spring goes into that hole there. But the problem I'm having is there is space between this whole part and the shaft that it's on to the back. And I'm afraid that the spring wants to fall in that gap. But if the spring isn't in that gap, this won't grab right here. And I'm also afraid that this here won't get activated by this lever. That's the start lever right here. So that's really got me confused. If anybody can tell me, just trust the Honda gods, or, you know, because here's an example. Like, I got a pencil. So this is the way it would kind of look on the inside. There's that small shaft that piece is on. And then there's a spot in the back. Now the spring fits around the spot in the back. And if I push the piece all the way up, it won't engage the sprocket. But if I leave a little space here and let the spring fall in, it will engage the sprocket. But I'm afraid that it's not going to be in the right place in the case for this to engage it. So if anybody has any advice on that, you're watching this video or you're on mopedarmy.com, please, please, please advise me, because I don't want to fuck that up and have to take it apart again. So I hope that kind of clarifies the problem I'm having. But anyway, that's it. I'm done for tonight. Well, I might clean this up and pop the kickback on it just because it's still a little early. But yeah, that's it. That's how far we're going with reassembly so far. And after I get a little more of it back together tomorrow, I'll talk to you then. Have a good night. Be safe.